My wedding dress was replaced with a cheap, oversized gown. Moments before my future in-law snickered, "This suits you better." I smiled. "You're right." I wore it and tore it in front of everyone. The room was in shock and she was speechless. So, picture this, I'm getting married in 3 weeks, right? Been planning this whole thing for like 8 months, and everything was going smooth as butter until my future mother-in-law decided to throw a curveball that would make even the Yankees jealous. Let me back up and give you the full scoop. My fiance's mom, let's call her Karen because honestly she's the poster child for every Karen meme you've ever seen. She's one of those ladies who drives a white Escalade, orders her Starbucks like she's conducting the New York Philharmonic, and somehow manages to make every conversation about herself. From day one, she made it crystal clear that I wasn't good enough for her precious baby boy. The dress shopping started innocent enough. She insisted on coming with me, which should have been my first red flag, but I was trying to be the good future daughter-in-law, you know? We hit up this boutique downtown, and I found the dress. I'm talking about the kind of dress that makes you feel like you're floating on cloud 9, the kind that makes your heart skip a beat when you see yourself in the mirror. It was this gorgeous ivory A-line with delicate lace sleeves and a train that flowed like water. The price tag was steep, about $2,000, but my parents had saved up for this moment since I was born. Karen was acting all supportive, nodding, and smiling, saying things like, "Oh honey, you look absolutely radiant and my son is so lucky." I should have known something was up when she offered to pick up the dress for me the week before the wedding. She claimed it would be one less thing for me to worry about, and that she wanted to contribute somehow. Like an idiot, I agreed. The morning of the wedding arrives, and I'm in the bridal suite at the venue, surrounded by my bridesmaids, my mom, and my sister. Everyone's sipping mimosas, getting their hair done, and the energy is just electric. That's when Karen walks in with a garment bag grinning like the Cheshire Cat. "Here's your beautiful dress, sweetheart," she says, hanging it up with this weird theatrical flourish that immediately made my stomach drop. I unzipped the bag, and y'all, I nearly had a heart attack. Inside was this cheap polyester monstrosity that looked like it came from the clearance rack at Walmart. We're talking about a dress that probably cost $40 max. It was 2 sizes too big, the wrong color, more of a dingy cream than ivory, and had these tacky rhinestones scattered across the bodice like someone had sneezed glitter on it. My mom's face went white as a sheet. My sister literally gasped out loud. The bridesmaids just stood there with their mouths hanging open like they were catching flies. "Karen," I said, trying to keep my voice steady, "this isn't my dress." She tilted her head with this fake innocent expression that made me want to scream. "What do you mean? This is the dress from the boutique." "No, it's not. My dress was completely different." That's when she dropped the bomb. With this saccharine smile that didn't reach her eyes, she said, "Oh, I exchanged it. I thought this one would suit you better, more appropriate for your figure." The room went dead silent. You could have heard a pin drop on the marble floor. My mom looked like she was about to throw hands, and my sister was already rolling up her sleeves. But here's the thing. I've been dealing with Karen's passive-aggressive nonsense for 2 years. The backhanded compliments, the subtle digs, the way she always found a way to make me feel small. I was done playing nice. Update. Guys, I need to know. Would you have lost it right then and there, or would you have tried to keep it together for the wedding? Because what I did next was either genius or completely unhinged, and I'm still not sure which. I looked at that cheap dress, then at Karen's smug face, and something just clicked. I smiled, not one of those fake polite smiles, but a genuine, almost scary calm smile. "You know what, Karen? You're absolutely right. This dress does suit me better." She looked surprised, like she was expecting me to break down crying or something. "Oh, I'm so glad you understand, dear." I picked up the dress and started putting it on. My mom tried to stop me, whispering frantically that we could figure something else out, but I just winked at her. My sister caught on first. She knows me better than anyone. And I saw this little smirk creep across her face. The dress was indeed too big, hanging off me like a cheap Halloween costume. The fabric felt like sandpaper against my skin, and those rhinestones were already starting to fall off. But I put it on anyway, even let Karen help me with the zipper. "See? Perfect," she said, clearly pleased with herself. "Absolutely perfect," I agreed. "Thank you so much for thinking of me." We made our way to the ceremony, and I could see the confusion on everyone's faces. My dad looked like he was about to have a stroke when he saw me in that disaster of a dress. The guests were whispering, trying to figure out what was happening. But I just kept smiling, walking down that aisle like I was wearing the most beautiful gown in the world. The ceremony itself was a blur. My fiancé, now husband, was confused but went along with it because he trusts me. He whispered, "What happened to your dress?" during the vows, and I just whispered back, "Trust me, babe." After we said our I do's and kissed instead of walking back down the aisle like normal newlyweds, I stopped right there in front of everyone. All 150 guests, including Karen's entire extended family, my co-workers, our college friends, everyone. "Ladies and gentlemen," I said, my voice carrying across the silent room, "I want to thank my new mother-in-law for this beautiful dress." Karen beamed, probably thinking she'd gotten away with her little scheme. That's when I grabbed the neckline of that cheap polyester nightmare and yanked. The dress tore like tissue paper. The whole bodice just ripped apart, rhinestones flying everywhere like confetti. The fabric was so cheap it practically disintegrated in my hands. In about 10 seconds, I had shredded that dress into ribbons, standing there in my white slip and heels with pieces of polyester falling around me like snow. The room erupted. People were gasping, some were laughing, others were taking pictures. My husband's jaw was on the floor, but he was grinning like crazy. My dad started slow clapping, which turned into a full standing ovation from my side of the family. Update. So remember how I said Karen went speechless? Well, that didn't last long. What she did next was so petty that even my husband, who usually defends his mom no matter what, finally saw her true colors. Should I have seen it coming? Karen's face went through about 15 different shades of red. She tried to stammer out something, but no words came. For the first time in 2 years, I had managed to shut her up completely. "Oh no," I said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "I'm so clumsy. Good thing you got me such a cheap dress, Karen. I mean, a $40 dress from the discount bin is perfect for someone like me, right?" That's when the truth came out. Turns out Karen had returned my $2,000 dress and pocketed the money. She'd bought this cheap replacement thinking I'd be too embarrassed to make a scene. She'd literally stolen from me on my wedding day. My husband's face when he realized what his mother had done was something I'll never forget. He looked at Karen like he was seeing her for the first time, and not in a good way. "Mom," he said, his voice cold as ice, "please tell me you didn't actually return her dress and keep the money." Karen tried to play innocent, but the damage was done. Everyone had heard my announcement, and the math wasn't hard to figure out. She'd been caught red-handed. The reception was wild. My maid of honor had packed an emergency outfit for me, a simple white sundress, so I wasn't stuck in my slip all night. But honestly, I kind of liked the dramatic effect of the torn dress. People kept coming up to congratulate me on the best wedding entrance ever, and finally putting Karen in her place. The best part was watching Karen try to explain herself to her own family. Her sister cornered her by the bar, demanding to know how she could do something so cruel. Her own mother looked mortified. By the end of the night, Karen was sitting alone at her table while everyone else was dancing and celebrating. My husband and I had a long talk that night. He apologized probably 100 times for his mother's behavior, and we agreed that she would no longer be involved in any major decisions in our lives. He also made her return the money, which took some serious threatening on his part. But here's where the story gets even better. Remember how I said everyone was taking pictures? Well, one of my cousins posted the whole thing on social media. The video of me tearing the dress went viral, like millions of views viral. People were calling it the most epic wedding moment ever and how to handle a toxic mother-in-law like a boss. The attention was crazy. I got interview requests from talk shows, messages from other brides sharing their own horror stories, and even some clothing companies wanting to sponsor me. But the best part was all the messages from other women saying I'd inspired them to stand up for themselves. A few weeks later, I got a package in the mail. It was from the boutique where I'd originally bought my dress. Apparently, the owner had seen the viral video and was so appalled by what happened that she'd made me a replica of my original dress, for free. She said no bride should have to go through what I did, and she wanted to make it right. I wore that dress to our 1-month anniversary dinner, and it was everything I remembered and more. My husband couldn't stop staring, and for the first time since the wedding, I felt like a real bride. Update. You guys have been asking what happened to Karen after everything blew up online. Well, let's just say karma has a wicked sense of humor, and the consequences of her actions went way beyond just our family drama. Ready for this tea? Karen tried to do damage control, creating her own social media accounts to tell her side of the story. Big mistake. The internet is unforgiving, especially when you try to justify stealing from your daughter-in-law on her wedding day. Her posts got ratioed harder than a politician's tweet during election season. People found her real name, her workplace, even her book club. The whole thing spiraled into this massive online roasting that lasted weeks. Her employer, a high-end real estate agency, was not thrilled about their top agent becoming the face of wedding dress theft. They put her on indefinite leave while they reviewed the situation. Translation: they were waiting for the heat to die down before quietly letting her go. The book club she'd been part of for 12 years, they uninvited her from their monthly meetings. Apparently, several members had daughters getting married, and they didn't want that kind of energy around their events. Even her tennis partners at the country club started giving her the cold shoulder. But the real kicker came about 6 months after the wedding. Karen had been bragging for years about planning this elaborate destination wedding for her retirement celebration with her second husband. They'd booked this fancy resort in Cabo, invited like 80 people, the whole 9 yards. When the time came, exactly 12 people showed up. 12 out of 80. Turns out word had spread through their entire social circle about what she'd done to me. People started questioning other things she'd done over the years, the times she'd borrowed money and never paid it back, the way she'd talk bad about people behind their backs, all the little manipulative things that people had overlooked before. My husband and I didn't go to her retirement party, obviously. We were too busy planning our own celebration, a proper honeymoon that we'd postponed because of all the wedding drama. We went to Italy for 2 weeks, stayed in these amazing little boutique hotels, ate pasta until we couldn't move. It was perfect. Meanwhile, Karen's trying to rebuild her reputation and her life. She's been reaching out to my husband constantly, trying to get back in his good graces. She sends these long, rambling emails about how she's learned her lesson and just wants her family back. But my husband's done with her games. He told her straight up that until she makes a genuine apology, not just to him, but to me, and to everyone who was at that wedding, she can forget about being part of our lives. She's also been trying to get back into her old social circles, but that's been rough going. Turns out when you become internet famous for being a terrible person, it follows you around. She had to sell her Escalade because she couldn't afford the payments after losing her job. She's living in a smaller apartment now, working at some discount real estate office across town. The best part? My husband and I just bought our first house, a gorgeous little craftsman with a big backyard where we're planning to start a family. We're happy, we're stable, and we're surrounded by people who actually care about us. Meanwhile, Karen's sitting in her studio apartment, probably scrolling through social media, watching our lives get better while hers falls apart. Sometimes, I wonder if I should feel bad for her, but then I remember that she literally stole from me on my wedding day. She made a choice to be cruel and vindictive, and now she's dealing with the consequences. Actions have reactions, and sometimes those reactions are bigger than you expected. The viral video is still out there, by the way. It pops up every few months when someone shares it again. My husband and I laugh about it now. It's become this funny story we tell at parties. Remember that time you destroyed a dress at our wedding? He'll say, and I'll grin and say, best decision I ever made. Because honestly, it was. Standing up for myself that day, refusing to let Karen's toxicity ruin my special moment. It set the tone for our whole marriage. My husband learned that I'm not someone who'll just take abuse quietly, and I learned that he'll have my back when it matters. We're coming up on our first anniversary now, and we're planning something small and intimate. Just us, our closest. Friends, and the people who actually supported us from the beginning. No drama, no manipulation, just pure celebration. And Karen? She's not invited. She's not even getting a wedding anniversary card. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't getting even. It's living well while the people who tried to bring you down watch from the sidelines. The dress might be gone, but the memory of standing up for myself, of refusing to be a victim, of showing everyone exactly what I thought of Karen's cruelty, that's something I'll carry with me forever. It was the best $40 Karen ever spent because it taught me exactly who I am and what I'm capable of when someone tries to mess with me. And honestly, I wouldn't change a single thing about that day. Not the torn dress, not the shocked faces, not even Karen's horrified expression. Because that moment, that beautiful, chaotic, perfect moment, showed everyone exactly who we all really are. And I came out looking pretty good, if I do say so myself.